Where is humanity in time? Episode 1 in this series about the discovery of reality presented how every human group had their own beliefs about where the Earth is in space. This episode will present what was believed about how long ago the Earth and the universe formed. We now know the universe began billions of years ago. This is called deep time. The concept of time stretching so far into the past challenges our imagination. How did people used to think about time? The Egyptians did not have a concept of the age of the universe as we do today. They believed the universe was created but did not say when. The Egyptians divided the day into 24 hours and a year was 365 days. The time between significant events was more important to them than just adding up a sum of years. Ancient Greeks and Romans also did not have a concept of the age of the universe as we do today. The Greek philosophers Aristotle and Plato both believed that the universe was eternal and unchanged with no beginning or end. The Roman philosopher Lucretius believed the universe was infinite and had no center. Cicero also believed that the universe was eternal with no beginning or end. Jewish mythology borrowed themes from Mesopotamian myths, but adapted them to their belief in one God. God created all things in 6 days. This belief, as written in the Old Testament, continued into Christianity. As for when this happened, Archbishop James Ussher, in 1650 published his claim that creation began on the morning of October 23, 4004 BC. This put the age of the universe at 5,654 years. He calculated this date based on the age of the patriarchs as reported in the Bible. After this, many Bibles had notations of dates when biblical events occurred, based on this calculation, listed in the margin. The Chinese also did not have a concept of the age of the universe as we do today. In the beginning, there was nothing but dark, formless chaos. The universe creates itself out of a primary chaos of material energy, organizing as the polarity of yin and yang which characterizes all things in life. Pan Gu separated heaven and earth. His body became geographic features such as mountains and rivers. In one version of this myth, humans arose from the fleas on his body. Muslims believed the universe was created in 6 days and that the earth formed from a cloud of smoke beginning on the 5th day. The earth was created within 7 heavens held aloft by the pillars of creation. The Incas also did not calculate a set time when the universe began. They believed in the existence of a creator god, Viracocha, and that the course of history formed a succession of repetition and renewal. They believed that each age was ruled over by a sun, and the general course of development was from the more primitive to the sophisticated. They believed that each age was ended by some catastrophic event. Hinduism views time as cyclical and never-ending. The process of creation moves in cycles. Time is a manifestation of God. Creation begins when God makes his energies active and ends when he withdraws into a state of inactivity. Matter remains manifested for 4.32 billion years, where the universe is created at the start and destroyed at the end, only to be recreated. These were the beliefs of some major cultures. There were and are many more. Notice how some have a god as a creator figure and some do not. Some have a very short timeline while one uses billions of years. Notice also the conflict between ideas of an infinite past and a definite time for the beginning of the universe. Infinite past or definite time? This conflict led to the development of a variety of logical arguments for the universe having a finite past. This idea was developed as early as the 5th century AD by a series of philosophers from different times and traditions, including John Philoponus, Al-Kindi, Saadia Jain, and Immanuel Kant. How and when did people begin to uncover deep time? In Europe, where the biblical idea of creation dominated, by the end of the 16th century it was known that the Earth is older than the age proposed by Bishop Ussher. The Age of Enlightenment sparked a broad interest in the study of nature and the universe. Questions arose as people began to collect fossils, as geologists began to study the Earth, and observations were made of the Earth while digging canals and coal mines. Fossils are abundant. Ancient societies had many different ideas about what they were. In Europe, by the end of the 18th century, it was known that fossils represent creatures that lived in the past and are now extinct. The development of paleontology and comparative anatomy aided in their classification. The study of the layers in which fossils were found also revealed that the Earth is old. During the mid-18th century, in England, the search for minerals motivated an interest in geology. There were competing geological theories about how the strata on the Earth formed. The main debate was between Neptunists, who believed in the biblical Great Flood, and Plutonists who did not. Plutonists believed that strata were formed by cooling rocks, so the Earth must be much older than the age indicated by the Bible. In 1787, Scottish geologist James Hutton argued that the age of the Earth is immeasurable. Coal mines and canals to transport coal were developing rapidly. Hutton and others noticed that as you dig through a hill or down a shaft, the layers of strata uncovered are the same all over the country. This indicated that these layers were laid down over epochs of time. Also, that the Earth moves, and what is land now was once underwater. Even though some knew that the Earth was very old, no one had the means to measure exactly how old. And if the Earth is old, how old is the universe? Many guesses were proposed. Most in millions of years. Billions were beyond imagination. Einstein offered an estimate of 10 billion years based on his equations. This was a shockingly high number. An early suggestion that there was deep time. Around 1910, some astronomers observed that spiral nebulae are receding from Earth. This is measured by how much light from these nebulae shifts toward the red end of the electromagnetic spectrum. This is called redshift. No one knew that these nebulae are other galaxies. This receding movement conflicted with the idea that the universe is filled uniformly with stars and nebulae. Einstein's theory of general relativity, published in 1915, implied that the universe is not stable but expanding or contracting. He was uncomfortable with this idea and tried to define a stable universe by adding his cosmological constant to his equations. In 1927, the physicist Georges Lemaitre proposed an expanding model for the universe. Redshift values were not constant but varied in such a manner as to indicate a definite relationship between the amount of redshift of nebulae and their distance from observers. In 1929, Edwin Hubble supported Lemaitre's theory. Hubble's observed that, relative to the Earth and all other bodies, galaxies are receding in every direction at velocities directly proportional to their distance from the Earth and each other. If everything is moving away from everything else, wasn't everything once closer together? The conclusion is that at some point, all matter started from a single point, before exploding outward. This is the origin of the theory of the Big Bang. The Big Bang was not the only model of the cosmos. Fred Hoyle proposed a steady-state model that could also be consistent with Hubble's observations. The two models were debated from around 1949 to 1964. Hoyle coined the term Big Bang in a radio broadcast in 1949 to insult the opposing model. The discovery of cosmic background radiation in 1964 put an end to the steady-state model. The last model to oppose the idea that the universe arose from a single point was Richard Tolman's theory of an oscillating universe. In this model, matter could expand then contract again to a hot dense state from which it would again expand. In the 1960s, Stephen Hawking demonstrated that this idea is unworkable. From then on, most cosmologists accepted the idea that the universe has a finite age. This video was produced in 2023. A bit less than 60 years ago, a few people finally figured out that the universe had a definite start time. The universe is not without a beginning or end. It is not destroyed then regenerated. Think about the billions of people who lived and died without being able to know this basic fact about the universe. Everyone viewing this is privileged to know what they could not. Space and time began in the Big Bang. Now that it was known there was a beginning, how and when was it determined when it occurred? The age of the universe is based on detailed measurements of its rate of expansion. The first reasonably accurate measurement of this rate, now known as the Hubble constant, was made by astronomer Alan Sandage. Before 1952, the possible age for the universe was 1.8 billion years. In 1952, Sandage demonstrated this should be doubled to 3.6 billion. He upgraded this to 5.5 billion then in 1958. Later he estimated 20 then 25 billion. It was difficult to arrive at a number. It required measurements by the space probes WMAP, launched in 2001, and Planck, launched in 2009, to refine the age of the universe. Based on their measurements, it was determined that the Big Bang singularity occurred 13,787 million years ago. This figure has been commonly used for a while. However, this age is being challenged. The James Webb Space Telescope has found extremely large galaxies that should not have formed so quickly after the Big Bang. Another study found a set of stars 13.7 billion years old. That's impossible. Both findings point to the universe possibly being much older and larger. Where are we in the discovery of time? Ancient belief systems varied. Some thought the universe did not have a beginning or end. The Abrahamic religions, Jewish, Christianity, and Islam, thought that all things were created in 6 days. Hinduism thought the universe was created, destroyed, then recreated in a cycle of billions of years. Some philosophers in various cultures and times began to speculate that the universe had a finite beginning. Telescopes began to be used in the 17th century, but they could not begin to see the true scale of the universe. The universe began to be measured in the 1920s, but there were still various estimates of its origin, age, and size. The origin of the universe, the Big Bang, was not established until 1964. The true age is currently being debated. Several recent studies might extend the age beyond 13,787 million years. But the universe is at least that old, and these studies do not upset the Big Bang model. The portion of the universe we can detect is called the observable universe. Because it has been expanding for a long time, the universe might be larger than we can ever detect. This makes the size of the universe unknowable. Of the 108 billion people who have ever lived, how many could have known that space and time arose from the Big Bang, or that the universe is billions of years old? It certainly took a long time for these facts to become known. Based on United Nations figures for births and deaths by country, I estimate that 6% of people who have ever lived might have known these facts. Today, it should be common knowledge. But many probably still do not know this. It is marvelous that we live in a time when we can know these basic facts about the depth of time and the beginning of the universe. We are privileged to know what the vast majority of those who have lived could not. The fact that the universe began with a singularity applies for all time, everywhere in the universe. We hope that this fact is not lost to future generations. I hope you like this channel and look forward to new releases. Please hit like and subscribe at any time. Thank you.